Hi, everyone, and welcome to Tap Into Your Creativity. I am so excited to have our guest artist today. I'm going to bring her in. I see that she's here. So, her name is Ekaterina Popova. She is joining us all the way from Philadelphia, and there she is.
Hi,
Welcome,
how are
Kat.
you? How are
I'm
you?
good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God, I'm so excited that you're here. You're my first artist coming in after a break from tapping into your creativity. It's been an incredible journey, and it was a break, as you probably know, is so needed once in a while if you can take one for mental health, just to refuel your soul and come back with everything that you have. And so I'm coming back with you, and I couldn't be prouder for you to be here joining us. You're an incredible, I was reading all about you, and you have so much to give to our audience. And I'm so excited to tell them all about you, but there's no one better to say anything about yourself than you. So I'm going to just give you the floor and welcome you. And thank you again for joining this season.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm just going to pick up my dog who's currently crying. One second. There he is. He's emotional today. Thank you so much for having me, and it's such an honor to be here. And I'm so happy that you had the break. It's so important for us to just take a step back and recharge and reflect and move on. And so, for those who don't know me, I'm Kat. I'm an artist. I am the founder of Create Magazine and also coach for Art Queens. And yeah, I mean, that's the very short version of all of it.
Well, let's just start from the beginning, because I know that you were born in Russia and your younger years you spent in Russia, and then you moved to the United States. And I'm wondering, looking back now at your work, how much does your nationality affect your work? I'm from Mexico City, and I know I carry my roots everywhere I go, and I'm very proud of where I come from. So, can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So my work initially was definitely really inspired by my home, and it was really inspired by the places that I've loved as a kid before, we moved to the US. And eventually, I think, not that it's not a part, I think subconsciously it obviously, certain aesthetics, certain colors, certain designs still really affect my work. But I think right now I am really interested in the universal and the things that we all, doesn't matter what country you come from or what culture has influenced you, just the things that we as humans really are drawn to, like a sense of belonging and what that looks like for us individually. So it definitely had a big role at the beginning. Sorry, he's but but these days I think it's more just in general about like being feeling connected and feeling safe. Yeah, I'm so sorry. um, sorry.
He's
Let him
probably
go.
not used to my voice.
So sorry. It's very passionate.
Yes, exactly. Oh my goodness. So, Kat, tell us a little bit about how you started. You know, what made you be what you are today? What was the thing, or was there one thing, or was it an accumulation of many things that got you to where you are today? Because you have many hats that you wear. But let's start with the artist, Kat, because I think you're an artist. You're a founder of an incredible art magazine. You're a coach, but I think before all that, you're an artist at heart, and that's why you speak so well to others. I actually will talk about, I do have my own cover of your book.
Aw,
So
thank you.
we'll get to that. But I think it's important for people that are joining on it and seeing who you are, how it all started for you.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting. I used to really think, I kind of reframed like the many hats thing, because I think at the core, we all love creating, and that could be creating opportunities or creating actual art or writing. I think there's just something in us humans that wants to express who we are and wants to be seen and wants to share. our own thoughts and things like that. So it definitely started with art, but I would say like I had kind of a heart to heart with myself recently because I'm scaling my company, and there's just a lot, and there's always like that tug of war, like can I be an artist and can I be a business person, or do I have to choose one? And the answer is no, I don't have to choose. And when I was reflecting kind of even on my childhood, I always was interested in multiple things. I always loved reading and even writing, but I also loved drawing. And I know as kids, we were a lot more free to move through different mediums. But as adults, we kind of have this pressure to pick one lane and stay in it. So I think it started as art, but I would say my whole life I was always interested in literature and, even history in some parts. So I don't think nothing ever really changed in terms of who I am. It's just the way that we see ourselves. And when we try to make a profession out of something, it's a whole different kind of game than when we're just exploring it when we're kids. But at the same time, it's not really that different. So yes, it did start with me committing to art, even though when I was younger, I actually was really into music, and I was going to musical school and playing the piano. And I was kind of expected to do that professionally, actually. So it's interesting that these days people might know me as an artist first, but really in my lifespan, it really wasn't like an artist first. I was a creative person that was doing all these different things. So it all started with kind of committing to art and learning the basics of painting and putting myself
out there. Did we
there.
lose you there for a minute?
Oh, can you still hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you froze yourself for a second, but you're back.
Oh,
all good.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure what was heard, but anyway, so I think the story is that I was always multi-passionate, and I just chose to commit to studying art, in the university, and from there on, I could continue on and explore other interests, which is really connecting with other artists is at the core of it, and enjoying life as an artist and reframing the picture that was painted to me that I had to live a tortured life of poverty and struggle, and I just don't want that for anyone.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and I'm also with you on I do a lot of things myself as well, and so I feel like I'm a multitasker and I can do many things, but sometimes I don't know about you, but when you have all this responsibility, now you have, your magazine, your this, your that. I mean, it's a lot. And so sometimes you have to check with yourself, with your artwork, because sometimes you find the answers in the artwork. Do you find yourself doing that or finding that?
I think I don't necessarily find it in the artwork itself as much as in the process of making it. So
right, exactly.
Checking in with the fact that I'm free to do these things and asking myself, is this truly what I want to be doing right now, versus feeling pressured and anxious that I have all these things to do. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to choices. And, I choose to have this crazy life right now because a part of me really enjoys it. And if I ever start to feel overwhelmed and like, what am I doing? I can ask myself, do I want to let this go? So far, the answer has been no. So it's been, it definitely is all about just being in touch with yourself and honoring the season that you're in.
Yes, exactly. And so when you went to fine art school, you graduated, is that when you decided you wanted to also create a magazine? When did everything start to merge for you?
It definitely came from a pain point. I originally was going to go to grad school to be an art therapist after school, and it did not financially work out for me. And so I'm glad it didn't. I mean, I was accepted, and then I got the bill, and I was like, no, I don't have $80,000 right now. I just, barely finished my undergrad. So definitely wasn't an option at that time. But I think in school, and this is when I met my friend Alicia, who I wrote the book with together, we were working for artist-run galleries, and we were, doing kinds of things outside of the studio. So we kind of started to learn a little bit about working with others and the business side of things. So I found it really interesting and empowering because I didn't have I didn't have the support, and actually that was kind of like a side job at the time that also paid me. So I was like, wow, this is really nice. So I think it planted those seeds in me, and it helped me. Like, I had to do a little public speaking, I had to do the books for the gallery, and it gave me some practical life skills that I then was able to use to start, building my own first business. But it started after college, because after college, I still thought I was going to go to grad school, and I was just waitressing and figuring things out. And it only was a few years after I graduated that I was so unhappy and so frustrated with my life that's when I started to open myself up to the new ideas of starting something on my own. But it was a process. It took a few years.
Well, I'm sure. And I think that, that first step, if you guys didn't see my interview with Alicia, I had her, I don't even know when, last year sometime. And she also said, that first job really opened up a segue, a huge road in front of her, and that she learned so much from interacting with other artists, with making, community work, working with each other. So I think that is such a key in this time now, to open up your channels and create a community around you. No matter who you are, what you are, it's so important to just, take a first step. And, it doesn't matter if they say no, but just take the first step to create a really sound group of people around you.
Definitely. I agree with that. It just helps you be more confident and less anxious too, knowing that you have a support system.
And now with the internet, I mean, we've never met before. Now we're meeting, it's like you just need to step up and ask. And with, at least on Instagram, DM has made it more informal, in a way that you can message people, and most people will message you back. And so that also has helped tremendously, don't you think?
Yeah, I think Instagram has been great, just making those initial connections with people, and making it less intimidating, because you get to see parts of people's personal life too, so it's not so formal. I think that definitely helps. And yeah, just in general, and like, there are no expectations of professionals like there used to be, that you had to have a whole building, or you had to have a doctorate degree to do certain things. I think even though there's still obviously gatekeepers for things, most people are free to become a leader in something, even if it's a very small micro niche. So I think it's a better world for sure. It's a lot more free and less less anxiety ridden.
Exactly, exactly. And so let's break it down a little bit. So how have you found success in the art world, from your painting, from your point of view? How can you walk us through what were your steps to get to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just want to say that it has been a decade since I started, so it's been a process. And I think sometimes it's easy for people to see someone, in the middle of their journey, and then compare it to the beginning. And so I always just want to encourage people to be kind to themselves, to celebrate any victory. I would say the process has been starting small and applying to local shows first, maximizing my local community where I could meet people in person. And, this was like 10 years ago now. And just participating in everything that I could, and treating it, I think I write about this in a book, but really treating it like the best opportunity that I've had, instead of saying like, oh, it's a local coffee shop. Really maximizing that, having a way for people to reach out and buy my paintings, or even just connect with me. That has been really crucial. As well as just really not like learning that rejection really doesn't exist. It's like dating. It's a match or not a match. It's not personal. It's just both parties have to benefit from each other. So not thinking that rejection is a bad thing, but really taking that advice. I'm sure you've all heard the getting 100 rejections a year goal. Like, that has been something that really helped me reframe it, because if no one's seeing your work, you can't find your match, or you can't find that opportunity that's good for you. So just really putting yourself out there as much as possible. And then just moving forward and showing up. And the biggest lesson for me has been showing up for myself with my art, regardless of whether or not I'm getting an opportunity, and almost preparing. So visualizing the success or the dream opportunity that I want, like an art fair or a gallery exhibition, and just showing up to the studio, like pretending that it's going to happen before I even have the evidence of anything, no, no future plans. And it actually works, because psychologically, when we program ourselves for success, we're going to show up and make better work, right? Because we believe that it's going to matter, it's going to count, versus when we show up to the studio and say, oh, who cares, no one's even going to see this, you're probably not going to give our best effort. So it's really important to kind of set your mental GPS on success before you even pitch your work. It all starts with making it and showing up in the studio with a certain mindset. So that's been really key, but it's a lengthy process, and you really have to trust yourself with, with where you're going.
So that whole concept reminds me of Julia Cameron and her morning pages. I started doing morning pages this summer because of a friend of mine that was also in this program, and she suggested, start doing morning pages, because it's exactly what you're talking about, for seeing positive things in your future, and just having that mindset of positivity in your mind. Like you said, the GPS, just moving forward, things will happen.
Yes, they do. I love morning pages too. It's part of my day. Part of my morning routine is just, even if it's one page, I think that just helps
Right.
to get it out there.
Yes. And, she talks about being so sort of a meditation, and a lot of people can't find the time, or it's hard sometimes to meditate and find that, zone, versus writing. You don't have to be in any kind of zone. You just write freely. And it doesn't matter what you're writing. It doesn't need to be about art. It doesn't need to be about anything but to write, the actual writing part of it. And it almost like cleans your mind before you start your day. And so everything that's in here, you just kind of put it out there, and then you start your day fresh. Do you find yourself with that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, it keeps me sane. Honestly, I think it's great for processing anxiety, like repetitive thoughts, because in the morning when we're in that state, where our brain is not quite awake yet, we have a little bit more access to our subconscious mind. So anything that needs to come to the surface, any fears, anxieties, or, in some cases, insecurities too, you can kind of just get it all out. And it's very healing and very therapeutic. And it's great to rewrite them then to something that you do want, and to have that space to explore your dreams and places where you want to go.
Yeah, for sure. And the Ivory Bunny just said, she's gotten epiphanies during morning pages. That's exactly right. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what happens. It's magical. Somehow it works.
it is. It's been life-changing for me as well. Absolutely.
So now let's go into the writing process of actually doing a business plan, because now you have to think business wise. How and when will I make my best impact in the art world with a magazine, with a book, with coaching? So how and when did you start this process?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm actually like redoing a business plan now as we're scaling, but in the beginning I did not have a business plan, and it was more of an accident than an intentional business. And it worked because I created what I needed. So it wasn't something that I was trying to make money off initially. I was really just trying to, with the magazine in the beginning, just create opportunities for people like me that couldn't find opportunities. And then with the book, when I found some success, I was able to just pass it on, and wish I had that resource when I was in my early 20s, when I was starting out. So in a way, up to this point, up until very recently, in fact, like this summer, there was no business plan actually. It was more of like reacting, responding, and creating a business based on my own needs and based on the feedback we received from our community. So surveying our community, surveying the art queen, surveying our readers, and just seeing like where they're at you know, whether it's through Instagram stories or through an actual formal survey in the email, you can learn a lot that way. But I think intuition has to play a huge role in it, because what happens is if we just use someone's formula for a business plan or for a success, it's already been done. So in a way, it like is a lesser version, or like a, you know, washed out version of what they've already created. So yes, you can use some of their steps and some of their structure ideas, but you still have to understand your strengths and your place in the world and what you can bring, and really integrate it into that structure. So there's like, I would say you have to use both parts of your brain, like the intuition, the creative part, and then of course the logical, practical part where you meet financial goals and you are able to generate a profit so you can sustain yourself and pay the people that need to get paid. So I think the first step is just being honest with yourself and understanding, you know, what you can bring to the table or what your passions are, because some of us, when we start out, we don't have a ton of like hard skills, right? We have some soft skills or some experiences, but we might not have things that we need, and we can always learn more. But just really getting clear on your strengths. Are you a connector? Are you a people person? Or are you a process oriented person? And from there on, you can then understand what the demand is in the market. Like, what do people want? Where are people missing? And creating from there. But it's a lot of thinking and a lot of brainstorming, a lot of just being real with yourself.
Right.
And also not letting those the doubt come and stop you from doing it.
So what would you say when you started Create Magazine? That you found the need for what exactly, and where did you find the answer? I know that you said you did serving people and stuff, but like, did you just go for it and thought, if it works, great, and if it doesn't, I don't lose anything? Is that what
Yeah.
was kind of like behind the scenes, your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah. At the beginning, it was very messy and very unstructured, and there was no, there was no formula. I just went for it. And I wasn't even thinking of it from a place of, oh, you know, who's going to read this? I actually really didn't care, because I really just wanted to make it. And that's how I approach all my projects. Like, it's very rare for me to truly test the theory. If I want to do something, I'm going to do it. And I've had plenty of projects that didn't work out or had kind of like fizzled out quickly, but I just had to do it. I just had to see, you know, and I'm not satisfied until I like go there. Now, that being said, a lot of the things I create are really low risk and low cost, so I don't really like, it doesn't hurt me. But I would say with the magazine, the actual need is not the actual magazine. It was the community connection. I think it was the opportunity to be seen by curators that you might not otherwise be exposed to. And then the other thing is, I think just seeing like-minded creatives, like fostering that spirit of connection and eliminating competition. Like, those were all the real reasons why people stayed with us for so long. But it was definitely not like a product where we found a missing like, it was not like that at all. So it was very just spontaneous. And I mean,
So how do you actually start a magazine? Let's say you're talking to someone who wants to start a magazine. How do you even consider doing that?
oh my gosh, well, there's so many ways. I mean, there's unlimited ways you can do it. Right now, I would say if I were to do it again, I would just start with digital, because print is so expensive. And unless you have a proven audience, it's really hard to break even, like, not, let alone have a profit. So I would say I started with print on demand. When my first magazine, Fresh Paint, we started with using a software called MagCloud, and everything was done through the cloud, and we didn't have any upfront costs. But there's a lot of limitations with that as well. So you have to really look at all the options that you have. There's a great book that summarizes all the ways you can start a magazine and different ways to fund it. It's called So You Want to Start a Magazine, and it's available on Amazon. It's really wonderful. So for anyone interested, I would check that out, because that breaks everything down from distribution to finding stores to, you know, design and all that stuff. So I think the first step is just to get clear on who it's for. Like, is the magazine for fellow artists? Is it for art collectors? Like, who is the reader? And just really understanding that and seeing like what kind of content they might like.
Has your magazine evolved since it started, or has it stayed in its tracks, or how do you how do you see your magazine right now?
Yes, it is, and stay tuned. I can't really say much about it right now. We are rebranding and rebuilding it, and it's really exciting. But it's probably going to be in the new year that it truly comes out again. But it definitely evolved. It was very much art centered in the beginning, and now we have more career things, and we have more sort of different perspectives. It started. My first magazine was all about painting. It was called Fresh Paint, and mostly just featured artists. And our Create magazine features all media, and we also have curators and creative entrepreneurs and educators and different perspectives from the art world. So it definitely evolved a lot, but it's evolving even more, so stay tuned.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Is Alicia part of it?
Yes, absolutely. Yep, she's our contributing writer, and she helps out a lot. So, absolutely, yeah, we have a whole team now. When I first started, it was just me, and now we have Alicia, Christina, Zoe, Sarah, and Victoria, and C. So we have a girl gang.
I love it. I love it. Can you tell us a little bit about the Art Queens and how that whole concept was born, and how are you coaching the girls? I'm part of the Art Queens, I'm proud to say.
Thank
So,
you.
so tell everyone a little bit about the Art Queens project.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being a part of it. It's the best part of 2020/2021 for me. And it really came from my desire. I think after we wrote the book, this complete smartest guide, I loved writing about my experiences, and I loved passing on knowledge, but I was also going through coaching myself and learning from a coach to become a coach. So that was actually like my baby step into coaching and to open myself up to sharing my knowledge and coaching with my community. And I felt like on this level, it was like kind of like a scalable intimacy where it was a very safe community for me to start. And because I was so clear on who that person is that I'm trying to reach, a very passionate, ambitious artist or art leader, who just knows that she's meant for more in life. So we have an amazing community. It's a coaching membership. We have live calls, but they're all recorded, and we have some recorded trainings. And I think the best part of it is just the fact that we can connect with each other and feel seen and supported, even just if it's virtually. I think last year that was so important for all of us. So it's been really amazing. We have guest speakers, and I share a lot, and it's super special to me. Like it I mean, the magazine is very special to me, but I think creating something where I was able to be vulnerable on that scale was just extremely rewarding. And so thank you to all the art queens. I see a few in here too. I love you
You
all.
know, I think it's so important to have that sounding board where you feel safe, where you feel that you can say anything, and being vulnerable and opening up and being real. That's what it's really all about. We don't want the cream on the top. We don't need
Yeah.
it. We want to be real, honest, and I think that is so important in today's world with everything that's been going on, and all the mental health situation that's been going on. We don't need, you know, people that are not real. So
Yeah.
I thank you for being real and for showing up and for just being an incredible force you're like, I feel like you're the face of the future
Aw, thank
of
you.
helping and being really, um, a woman with power and embracing that, but on the other hand, being humble. And so I really, truly love that about you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And you know what? It came from really getting hurt by some people who were supposed to be leaders. And even though I forgive them and I move on, but it was really like, it was jolting to have certain people who were supposed to be like mentors or leaders really just be hurtful and have this facade. And I realized I don't want to be that kind of leader. I don't need you to think that I have all my shit together all the time. I really, sorry for cursing. I really just wanted a place where, yes, we have problems. Yes, we have challenges, or maybe, there's some situations, whether it's personally or in our career, that aren't how we want them. But I wanted to show people that it's possible to move past it And I also had some amazing examples, you know, my coach Michelle Gomez and Kara Allwell from Champagne Diet. They were all vulnerable, and they shared the struggle. They shared things that were uncomfortable to hear at times, but it made you feel like it's okay to be successful and still have these struggles, versus this image like all your problems go away when you're, you know. And so I just wanted to be that for our community. So I share some things. I still share my struggles too, even though I'm supposed to be the leader. And I think that helps us stay connected and stay real, and not, you know, not
You
fall
can
into
get
some.
lost in the process. That's the whole thing, right? Because, once you find, success and fame and all this stuff, you can get really lost in the process. And I think it's so important to keep checking back with yourself, and the peers that you have around you. Hopefully they have the same values as you do, and you surround yourself with people that you feel safe. And I think that that's what, Create is all about. And, everything that you have made, the people that are around you represent yourself in a way. And so you really need them to have the same values and have the same message to give out.
Yes, absolutely. You're so right. And I think too, even though, like, even if you reach a certain level of success, you know, there's still emotions that come up, there's old traumas that resurface. And in a way, like, it definitely gets better, but it doesn't really go away fully. So I think it's important to keep these conversations open.
Yes, and it's, and it's trial and error, and you learn from your past, and hopefully to be a better person in the future. And so that doesn't mean that you erase your past, but you definitely learn from it so you can move in a better way to the future. And so that makes you a better person, a better friend, a better mom, a better, all of it. So I think it's just so important. So, Kat, I love your book. If you haven't gotten this book, you all should get it. It is amazing. It is written by you and Alicia, which, if you missed my interview with Alicia Pug, just go back and look for it. It's amazing. But we need to talk about this, because I think that, if you haven't had the opportunity to get all the tips and information, I wish I would have read this, 20 years ago when I
That's
was.
how, when people say that to me too, and I'm like, yeah, I wish I had this too. That's that's exactly why I wrote it, because I wish, like, there was nothing on this stuff, you know, when I graduated.
Yes, yes. And when I think about, some of the things that, sometimes people have asked me, like, where do you find your inspiration? And what happens if someone starts copying you and this and that? And I'm like, well, everyone has their own story. Everyone is so unique because no one is the same, and everybody has their own backgrounds. And as long as you stay true to yourself and find the why you're doing what you're doing, I think that you have a clear vision. But tell us tell us about how this concept started for you guys.
For the book itself, or for the
Everything, I guess, but yeah, for the book itself, like, what made you decide there's a huge need for this book?
Well, I think we wrote about that in the beginning too, but basically we always joked about writing a book, because we would get together every few months, and we would talk about our experiences, me on the art side of things, or Alicia on, like, the gallery, auction house side of things. And we would just share all these things. And then we would also share, like, you know, epic fails and just drama that happens from being an artist. And eventually I think we were like, okay, well, let's write it. And we started just writing little blog posts, and eventually wrote the little book, this 80-page book. And then we're like, okay, we're ready to write the big thing. So it was over the years that we came up with it. But I think there were a lot of things that I wish I had I had to learn the really hard way. Like, my favorite story of torturing myself is when I walked across, like, the Brooklyn Bridge to, like, find this obscure gallery, just because I wanted to have, like, New York on my resume. Like, totally not worth it. I ended up not even picking up my paintings because I just couldn't even find that place. It was, like, in New York, but where in New York it was, it was very shady. But I think it was important to talk about those things, like figuring out, like, what are your values, what really matters to you, what's worth your time. And yeah, and then things like competition and people copying, you know, that those kinds of fears that come up in the art community. And I think the more you grow, the less relevant those fears kind of are. Because like you said, we all have a different story, different reasons for why we create something, and not to justify anyone copying or anything like that. But, you know, there's, if truly only each person could share one topic or one type of work, there would be not millions of business books or millions of art books, right? Like that just doesn't make any sense. Like we all have a unique perspective to share. So yeah, it was just a combination of things that we wish we knew. And that's exactly the response we get. They're like, I wish I knew that. I'm like, me too. It took me like a decade to get here and figure it out, but I'm happy that I can at least pass it on. Hopefully save you all some time.
Right, exactly. I mean, it has so many, you know, information on how to do things, having a website, having portfolio, having, you know, how to approach galleries, how to, you know, find your why. I think that, you know, it's really amazing. All the information that is here is so great and on point. I think that for emerging artists, they should have this right on their nightstands because it just helps so much. I think also time and having 10 years under your belt, in my case, has been more than that. But it gives you a thicker skin as
Yes.
well. So you don't get so, you know, like hurt if someone says no. If you don't get, you know, if all these things, like, I think that when you have this past behind you, and like we say, you know, thousands of paintings to get the one, in my case, because it's painting, but it could be anything. It could be music, it could be composing, it could be writing, it could be anything. Um, you start not feeling rejected. You start feeling like it's just another day. Let's go, you know? And as long as you believe in yourself, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what if they say no to you. It's just hard to believe that when you're just starting.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels
Because
very
it really
final.
hurts. It hurts. And so some people stop because it hurts. I would say don't stop. You know, keep
Yes.
going.
I would not be here if I stopped. I mean, I've even let myself down many times too, and I still, you know, you can't stop. I remember hearing this on Shark Tank, not Shark Tank, it was an interview with Barbara, and she was saying how I think artists are the same way. Like entrepreneurs are people who come over to something and get hit on the head, and then even though they know how much it hurt, they'll just come right back. And it's true, but it doesn't really hurt. I mean, it doesn't really hurt anymore. Like I'm so numb
Exactly.
to it. I just actually celebrate, you know, rejections or whatever. I'm like, great, I'm showing up for myself. And in fact, you know, if you're not putting yourself out there, like how will you even ever find the next thing? So yes, it's part of the course, and I have a totally different perspective with it now where it just does not really, it just doesn't bother me at all. Like it definitely used to. I would definitely get really crushed and upset. So it takes
Yeah,
time.
I think it just takes time. I mean, I think, you know, there's no shortcut, but there are things that you can help yourself now that, you know, we didn't know way back. And so if you know these things, and if you know that it's okay for people to say no, and if all these things will help you continue on your path, and know that if your heart is in it, you're going to be okay, you know, and you just have to show up and work hard. That's the only way.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think too, there's no shortcut, but there is a more pleasant way to live. So I think it comes down to like really working on our own self-esteem and healing. And there's different ways to look at something, right? Like if you're feeling, if you feel connected to yourself and you've been doing a lot of work and accepting yourself, a rejection letter that says no, not this time, will just be like, great, well, I'm going to try again. And I know I'm good enough. I'm just going to use this time to continue working on my portfolio and being the best me. But if you're already feeling really bad about yourself and you don't trust yourself and you need to do some healing, if you get a letter like that, it's just going to crush you, and it will make you stop. Maybe in some cases it's going to make you feel like, well, this is a sign from the universe that I'm just not good enough, you know? So it's really all about seeing these instances as not related to who we are. They're just feedback, right? They're not facts about the fact that we're never good enough. They're just that specific situation, and they're not dictating the rest of our lives. So that was a really important shift for me too, to just like neutralize all that stuff and not attach deep meaning to it, because there's millions of people in this world, right?
And millions of people are doing the exact same thing that you're doing.
Yep.
So there's room for everyone. You
Exactly.
know, you just have to find your own path through it all and you'll be fine. So tell us a little bit about what is the process for the magazine? I think that you have open call for artists at the moment for Creates magazine. Can you tell us, for people that would like to get in the magazine, what they have to do and what comes on your side? What sparks you to decide on which artists you're going to feature?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a great question. So we are now a company. We have a lot of people, and it's really exciting that we've grown. So we have a whole process. We have usually about 5 open calls for the actual print magazine a year, and it goes like this. We have an open call, and we have a guest curator. Right now we have the lovely Erica Hess from I Like Your Work podcast, and she's going to be curating our next virtual exhibition, and we're doing something really cool. So really, I can't wait. And the theme is Rise. So after you, if you're interested in that topic or the specific opportunity, you can submit your work. We use a website called Submittable. And then we will send, after the submission call ends and everyone sends in their work, we send it to the guest curator, and they make the choices for, the group of artists. And, unfortunately, we can only select a few because space constraints. But it's really fun to just see the different perspectives of the curators we invite, so that we are not only stuck in our own aesthetic. It's been really great to just expand our community that way as well. So people can submit, the curator will review, send us their results, and then the process on our end begins where this takes a really long time, but it's worth it. We will upload it, send it to the editor, upload it, whether it's an exhibition or magazine design. So that's like the back end stuff. And we usually have about 5 opportunities a year. It might be more as we grow. But yeah, so you can feel free to check it out. It's createmagazine.com/submit, and everything's going to be listed. We also have a free blog which you can submit to, which is reviewed by our team every week, and we try to feature as many people on our Instagram from there as well. So check it
That's
out.
amazing. Someone is asking about the cost.
So the jury fees, everything is listed per opportunity on the website. So if you go to www.createmagazine.com/submit, you can see the free opportunity, you can see the juried opportunity. There's a few on there, and you can see if it's the right fit for you.
So usually you have a theme or something attached to it. So make sure that if you are applying or submitting work, make sure you read what that is and see before you apply if this makes sense. You might want to wait until it actually makes sense for your work to be submitted, correct?
Yeah, and sometimes we have open themes where anything really goes. We also have a women's issue that comes out every spring in like March, April. And so just check everything out and make sure it feels right for you. But yeah, we appreciate everyone's support so much. Really, it's amazing.
Yes, well, that's part of how your magazine gets published, and because of artists like us that submit things, and it's this, a lot of people don't understand the amount of work that goes behind the scenes, the printed costs, and everything that goes really behind the scenes, and how much money that takes.
Yeah.
And so that's why there's a cost for the artist to submit work.
Yeah.
So you're supporting somewhere that you believe in it, even if you're not going to be, admitted into that particular month or year or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we appreciate it so much. And of course, companies or individuals we partner with, and submissions and other things that just help us keep going. It's been amazing to get us to this point, and Yeah, it's amazing how much work it is behind the scenes that people just don't see. But I think once people start their own project, they start to quickly realize it. But it's still worth it. It's definitely worth it.
So, someone is asking if they can buy the magazine in Canada.
So yes, we are working. We had a magazine store in Canada. I think it was called Type. Can't remember the name of it. There is a page on our website on the bottom if you scroll down where to find us. And during COVID, we couldn't really ship internationally, but right now we're going to be restarting it with the new year again. We do have an online shop, and right now you can get the magazine through Amazon. So I'm pretty sure they shipped it to Canada through Amazon. So check it out on
And
our website.
and obviously all the submissions can be around the world,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So the more the merrier. That's for sure. So where do you see yourself in like 5 years from now?
Well, right now, like I said, we are working on something really exciting with growing the magazine as a company. So I definitely see us really being a lot more multimedia, more interactive, like incorporating video more, doing more events in person, and just really growing our readership. I think as I've grown a lot as a coach and as an artist as well, I just my interests have expanded. So I feel like there's going to be a little bit more lifestyle and art embedded, but definitely stay tuned to see. But I'm excited. I think it's going to be great to just explore some new realms and just really celebrate creativity and art in the way that it can be used in everyday life outside of just the art world.
So what do you think about having a create physical space?
I definitely thought about it. I'm pretty much like, it would have to be a bigger vision, like a 20-year vision, I think, because it's a lot from running a gallery space back in my day and, trying to be an artist. It would have to be something that requires a full staff. And, maybe we're not there yet today, but I definitely see us having brick and mortar spaces in the future for sure. I love physical meetings and actual real life events so much. Yeah, it's when you're building a business, you really just have to pace yourself, and you can have like that 20-50 year vision for yourself and just do the best you can with where you are right now and create the opportunities that you can, with the resources that are available. So look, thanks to the internet, we can really do a lot from our homes and from our, studio spaces and all that.
So do you meet in one space or is everyone still meeting from their homes?
No, we have always been virtual, and that was part of the reason why I was able to grow it, is because, we didn't require that physical investment. So that's been amazing.
I know. I mean, Alicia is in Puerto Rico.
Costa Rica, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Costa Rica. I mean, that's just incredible, right? I mean, she's like, I'm working like full time. Does
Yes.
not affect me. It's incredible.
Yes, absolutely. It is nice to have that freedom. And also during COVID, I mean, we wouldn't, there would be no way for us to continue operations if it wasn't virtual.
Have you had time to paint in your studio? Where is your studio?
Absolutely. I'm getting ready for an exhibition in Paris, so I'm pretty much painting all the time. I have a studio in Philadelphia, in South Philly.
You're getting ready for Paris?
Yes. Yes, I have a group show in December, and I'm making a few new pieces for them. So that's all I've been doing.
Oh my gosh. So tell us a little bit about your artwork in itself, because I know if people don't know what you do, you like having rooms and interiors, not necessarily with a figure, but the actual space and the actual feeling like someone is living there, but without the figure. Can you
Yeah.
just tell us briefly about that?
Yeah, that's kind of been the work that I've been creating the past few years. And I definitely I just loved exploring the interior. I've always just enjoyed looking at beautiful interiors and spaces. And I think also just thinking about that sense of home and belonging that I think we're all as humans after. And right now, my work, I definitely took some time off from that type of work this year, and I was experimenting a lot. But because this gallery in Paris was interested in that type of work, kind of circling back around and putting a slightly new twist on it. So excited to share.
Oh, I
Stay
can't
tuned.
wait.
I'm in
Yeah.
the middle of everything, so I can't share too much right now.
Oh, I know. And I really, I want to thank you for your time and your commitment to our community and for showing up here and to tap into your creativity. It's been a real joy having you here. And if you guys have any questions, this will be the time to ask Kat anything that you want to ask. Kat, any final thoughts that you want to share with us?
Not just, I mean, for all of us, just to keep going and to keep trying new things and to not be afraid of, the what ifs and what could go wrong. Just go after it, figure it out.
Do you have
That's
like maybe 3 tips that you have for emerging artists?
for emerging artists. I would say just keep. I think, trying to think of a good one. I think just keep going. Honestly, I think don't overthink it. Don't let doubt stop you from making your work and experimenting. And I think living in a state of expectation that something amazing is going to happen at any given moment has really helped me, because it makes you excited and it makes you make your best work instead of living fear-based and worrying about rejections or things going wrong. And then I think just putting yourself out there, practicing talking about your work, showing your work locally or even online, and just practicing sharing it with different types of people. It will give you that confidence to then transition to bigger opportunities and really show up for yourself in that way. So.
I love it. I love it. And where can we find you? Can you just tell us everywhere that we can find you?
Yes. On the internet, you can find me here at Ekaterina Popova. Art Queens is currently open for fall enrollment, so it's at the Art Queens or artqueens.co on our website, and that's our coaching membership, and as well as Create Magazine, which is going to be revealing some exciting new stuff soon. And that's at Create Magazine or createmagazine.com. So thank you so
And
much.
remember, submissions are open, so make sure you look at it and if it works for you, submit your work.
Thank
It
you.
it
Yeah.
yes, yes. Well, thank you. And remember about this incredible book. You guys, if you don't have it, go run and get it.
You put lots of love in it, and we definitely included everything we could think of. So you
Yes,
won't miss anything.
and more, and more. Remember this book used to be 80 pages long.
Yes,
Now and
300.
it's small font, you guys. So
It will give you all the tools you need to get to your next level for sure.
exactly, exactly. Well, Kat, it has been a pleasure. Thank you for coming into the name of the book. It's called The Complete Smartest Guide. And
Yes,
I will put it on my comments below. So I will absolutely put that in. And Kat, I'm so glad that we met. And if you ever need anything, I'm here. And thank you so much for joining us today. And it was just an amazing, amazing interview.
thank you. Thank you so much for having me and sending love to everyone. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. I will see you next week with Dr. Nancy Healy. So you can't not be there. So make sure that you tune in next Saturday. Take care.
Bye. Thank
Bye,
you so much.
everybody. Bye, Kat.
Bye.